Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Unscripted Coding. Today, we have again with me my trusty Oculus Quest, and we're going to see if we can do some real work with the Oculus Quest. We've done this a couple times now. We've done it with virtual desktop, immersed VR. We've also looked at the web browser. But today I'm going to try a little something different. We're going to have Visual Studio Code running on an Oculus Quest. So this is cutting edge technology. It's not, you're not going to see a ton of this, but you're going to see some of the frustrations I'm having. So first of all, let's just dive right into it and take a look. So, couple things here. I do have the browser set up. As usual, you have 1, 2, and 3 browser windows, and of course, you can add additional tabs on each one. I'm going to grab my controller here as well. I'm going to tell you a couple cool things though. Oculus and Facebook really are trying to add additional features. So if you go into their experimental features, we talked about Bluetooth and adding a mouse and keyboard. You can't really see, but there's a keyboard in front of me. You can bring your seat and the desk into VR. And so that's what you're seeing right here. This just gray flat piece of thing is mapped to my keyboard tray. So I know, where to place my hands. That has been very helpful. There is multitasking. So it's not particularly helpful, but if you want to look at, say, the store, if you start using their music or video apps, you can have two windows, one over here and one over here for browser, and then you can open a third app. But essentially, you are still limited to 1, 2, and 3. Now, in the future, supposedly Oculus is trying to bring more Android apps available, so you might be able to put some sort of Android app over here and 2 window browsers or whatever you may have. But let me tell you something quite frustrating, and it's going to affect very realistically how much I can work on this page. Bluetooth pairing. No matter what I did, I could not pair to my mouse. So let me start searching again. And you're going to see people on the forums talking about various errors and just getting zero response. And it seems to me tracking is obviously on, but I can't connect to a mouse without tracking, apparently. And all sorts of errors crop up, and every time I try and do one of these videos, the truth is there is a bit of a finicky process. So I am gonna go without a mouse today. Naturally, that is going to affect how well I can do work. But that said, the last time we tried using a mouse, it was not all that great anyways. All right, let's jump into it. So, no mouse. What I'm going to do is use my hand as mouse. When we had an actual mouse moving over here, there would be an icon basically like this on the screen. But what really was problematic was there was not a lot of... It was like using your hand. You can't, how do you call it, click and select through a lot of text. It basically is like your hand selector. So I don't know if I'm losing all that much by moving my hand from the keyboard, which you can't see here, and my hand is pointing at things. Okay, so first of all, having this table right here is really helpful. You can see it's matched very accurately. It extends a bit further than it really was, but being able to know where the edge of my table is helpful. Now, this is probably why you're here. It's super cool. you can see the video description for a description of how I set this up on a page. But you'll see that I have my own URL. It's not going to be live for much longer. And it is all possible through a service called, let's make sure my fingers are in the right place, Coder. Okay, so essentially what Coder is a set of tools that put a lot of development tools on the web. And most importantly, they have an open source code server, which, oh no, okay. Code server. Okay, code server. It puts the open source version of Visual Studio Code on a web browser. Okay, you can see here's my version, here's their screenshot of it. And that's helpful because that means you can bring Visual Studio Code not just to Oculus, but also your work computer, your phone, your iPads, wherever. And this is one shortcut to essentially bring Visual Studio Code to Oculus. You do lose a few things going from actual Visual Studio to an open source version, but you'll see that a ton of the extensions are available. You get a very kind of familiar development environment if you're into that. Okay. Now, I should point out what is really cool is how I've deployed it. Again, you can look at my other video, link in the description below. But because of how it's deployed, it's running Linux in the back. So without any work whatsoever. And I gotta stress, you should take a watch of that video. It is very, very quick and painless, and it is free to deploy. You can run this on a free tier. But what I really like is Python's pre-installed in Linux, and you can start printing hello world. Now, I'm using this on a serverless basis. It destroys itself and recreates itself every time I want it to run. And so as a result, it takes a little while to boot, and I have limited capabilities to install extensions to bring this further. But if you run it on an actual server, if you don't use free tier, you get a ton of additional options. And so for me, one of the big negatives is how I'm running right now is remotely. I'm running. I have a real problem actually using the extensions because I can't close this off and rerun because it destroys my function. But if you have a long running server, which will cost a bit of money and time, what you can do is actually install extensions, have them survive even after you terminate your session, and you can have Python. So for me, I gotta run Python in this terminal. I can't actually install and use the Python extension. It doesn't. Well, let's not get into it. Let's just say the way I've done it, because I'm trying to latch onto a free tier, I picked Azure. There are many disadvantages. I won't be able to run Python code immediately. If you choose something like Heroku, you will be able to. But I picked this for demonstration purposes. It's just more convenient for me. But what I'm really loving right now is, of course, I'm getting the full. I am getting the full Visual Studio experience. So if I were to write something like, let's not do plain text, Python. Okay. Print hello world. You have all of that ready. So let's go define print statement. Print string here. Okay, you have the color coding. It's very familiar. What the problem is right now, and I haven't done this on the Oculus before, so is that you don't get a lot of options for font sizes. You don't get any option for font sizes. But what I can do is run the code. The print statement is up here. Okay. All right. So let's do some work. So let me glance up here for a moment. We're at 11 minutes. I really just wanted to demonstrate this, but let's do something simple. FizzBuzz. Let's go. Let's not look for the solution. Okay. Good. Leak code should probably tell us what the problem is without solving the problem. I will also link to this code server in the video description so you guys can take a look. There's a ton of deployment options. But what I want to do here is, okay, so you're given some random number, and you're supposed to count up to that number, up to and including that number. So I give you 3, you count 1, 2, 3. But if the current number is divisible by 3 and 5, then you type FizzBuzz instead of that number. If it's divisible by 3, you write fizz. If it's divisible by 5, you write buzz. And then just the standard number if nothing else. So let's say we count, and I'm looking at the example here. I hope you guys can see it. Input is 3. You count up to 3, 1, 2, and then 3 is, of course, divisible by 3, so you write fizz. And then they have examples. So let's say 15, that's divisible by 3 and 5. You type FizzBuzz. It's a very classic problem, and we're just gonna. And the funny thing is, you hear all of these stories about these senior developers who can't actually solve it. So FizzBuzz problem. Define FizzBuzz. And we will get n. Okay, for I in range n, print I. Okay, and we'll run the test at 16. Now again, if you deployed it differently than what I have, you don't have to type it out in the terminal as I did, but there we go. Scroll up. Okay, so in this version, you don't start with 0. For I in range. +1. Okay. That will. So I didn't want to count from 0 to 15. I wanted to count from 1 to 16. So again, let's try this. Uh-oh. Indentation error. Oh. Print on. And not having a mouse is also really quite problematic. There we go. We're counting from 1 to 16 now. All right, so let's do a test. If I divide it by 5 equals 0, equals 0, I 3 does not equal 0. So it's not divisible by 5, not divisible by 3, then we print, we just print the number. But else, so if it is over here, it's not divisible by 3, or it's not divisible by 5, but it is divisible by 3, then we print Fizz. Okay. If it is divisible by 5, and we'll do another test. Divisible by 3, does not equal 0. So right now, it failed this test, meaning it's divisible by 5, but it's not divisible by 3. We print buzz. And then if both of those tests fail, meaning that they're divisible by both 3 and 5, we print FizzBuzz. Okay, then we will run it. Okay, so 15, good. 12 is divisible by 3, so we get Fizz. Let me get the controller instead. That will make it a bit easier. So 8, 9 divisible by 3, 10 divisible by 10, and then we have, pretty sure I did this correctly. Now, there's much cleverer ways of doing this. This kind of nested testing is probably not the most efficient, but I just wanted to demonstrate how that looks. You get, in your screen, if you use Coder, a total view of 24 lines or so. It's a bit denser than what you might expect, but I think this is as close as you're going to get. One last thing I did want to say, and I mentioned this in my other video too, is that GitHub is going to have its own solution as well, GitHub Code Space. And so I'm hoping soon there'll be full access. They have real, pre-deployed Visual Studio Code for you. And none of these are great pictures, but essentially you won't have to do all of this setup and deploy in the other video, which again is very quick. It takes like 3 or 4 minutes if you follow the instructions. But you'll get full Visual Studio Code. And now that Coder actually works here, I think that GitHub Code Spaces is also going to work in this scenario. And so, I probably should have done something cool on the third screen, like run YouTube lo-fi and listen to music on the side here. And you can do. Okay, that doesn't help, but you can listen to music on the side, see some reference, and run Visual Studio Code. I think this is going to be as close as we're going to get to actual working environments on Oculus for quite some time. If they fix the mouse and made it work actually well enough so that it's not just this pointer, that it's an actual mouse for you to drag through text, that would be really... This is very workable, because you got to keep in mind, this is all on the Oculus Quest. I have this cable because I need to mirror this image so you guys can see it. But in theory, I can unplug this, pack this and a Bluetooth keyboard and mouse into my backpack, and I can go to a coffee shop and get essentially what is 3 monitors and maybe enjoy some of the scenery as well. So I hope you guys have found that helpful. I think it's really, really cool. I didn't actually do this, so I didn't do this before the video. I had my doubts whether Coder would even run on the Oculus browser, but yeah, you get the references here. You get Visual Studio. You can run your YouTube, Netflix, whatever. And because it's all embedded in the browser, it's very doable. You just need a Wi-Fi connection and you're good to go. I think this is very workable. So if you guys are looking for a solution, do make sure you can connect a mouse. And I don't think we're that far off. I certainly wouldn't do this right now, but a couple more updates when they fix up the mouse, maybe give you the opportunity to change how the web browser is sized. You can do some real work here. So if you guys enjoyed this video, please like, please subscribe, please comment, because I will be watching this space. I've kind of gone through the steps as they're updating, as I find new stuff. So if there are new tools, if there's new bits and pieces that we can do to make this experience better, please do leave a comment, because I want to try it out. I think it's going to be incredible when everyone's on VR and you can simulate hopefully more than 3, but massive screens left and right and do all this work just with something strapped onto your face. Anyways, enough talking from me. Do check out the links in the video description so you guys can actually find out how to set it up as well. So thanks for watching. See you guys next time.